What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Pondcast. A couple weeks ago, we had Nick Van Kampen come on and give us the history of his company. We were talking a little bit after the fact, and I think it goes without saying that everyone who has an aeration system that works well for them kind of stops thinking about it until it breaks. It's not something that, we're gonna consider all different types of aeration that is necessary. We may not even know that not all aeration systems are made equal. So let's go talk to Nick from Scott Aerators and have him tell us what types of systems there are, why we may need those systems. Because like everybody knows, if your friend comes up to you and you're the guy who has a pond first in your neighborhood, now all of a sudden you're the expert on ponds. But the situation at hand may be different. Especially if somebody buys something with a natural pond, a farm pond, a pond that's just 2 times your size. Maybe it's incredibly long but shallow. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is the Pondcast, brought to you by Webs Online. Let's get started. All right, first and foremost, thank you for giving us a little bit more of your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
So, we were talking after we were done filming our last episode, and like you said, you do all different types of aerators, and I think people may underestimate the vast different types of aeration systems that there are, strictly because most people who are listening to this probably have a pond. They know what kind of aeration system works for their pond. But it's not going to always be the case that that's the last pond you have. People move, right. This, that, and the other. Somebody comes up to you and they want to build a pond, and as it always is, you're the guy they know that has a pond. You must be an expert on the pond. Let me ask you all these questions. I just bought a farm. What kind of aeration system? Meanwhile, this guy lives in the suburbs and has a 10 by 10, right? So why don't you just let's dive in. Talk to me about aeration systems. What types are there? What are the limitations? Let me just give this over to you.
Yeah, so thanks for that. There are definitely a wide range of different aeration systems. We power them anywhere from, we do have electric powered units, those are probably the most common. We also do offer solar aeration systems like we've talked about previously. And we also have windmill powered systems.
Oh.
So we can really make these fit any situation you're going to be put in. If you don't have good electrical supply, maybe it's overcast, not getting a lot of sunshine, but it's windy, you can do the windmill. We have customers, I've got customers out in Dubai that are using solar power just because there's so much sunlight there, it just wouldn't make sense to do it otherwise. So we can definitely fit a wide range of applications with these different systems.
Is there any reason that somebody would need to choose one versus the other, and then we could go back on topic, or is it purely just choice of aesthetic? But is there if your pond is over this size, you have to find yourself in camp A or B?
Yeah, so the way that we'll decide that, well, like you mentioned, it is going to be a lot of the aesthetic, what the customer is looking for, but also it's going to depend on the depth and the size of those ponds. So with those subsurface, with the compressor and diffuser aeration systems, the deeper you put those diffusers that are at the bottom of your pond, the deeper you put those, the more coverage you're going to get. That's just because it's going to allow that air to really expand and to move away before it breaks to the surface. So when some people will have, say, if you only have a 5-foot deep pond, but it's an acre plus in size, if you don't want to do multiple compressors just because of that depth, you'd be better off with a floating aerator. Because with those, as long as you have the depth, you're getting so much water movement, anywhere from 300 gallons up to 800 gallons a minute, depending on horsepower. You're going to get a lot of that movement. So you're going to get a lot of that water movement. It will give you a lot of that aeration. So if you're restricted on depth, the floating aerators will be the better route to go if you're looking to cover a larger size. Another thing I tell people too is if you have a big issue with like the floating algae, like the surface scum. I prefer to use the floating aerators to combat that because you're getting a lot more surface disruption and it's circulating that water. So I find it combats a lot of that floating algae just much better, much quicker of a result.
And the point behind that would be that you're actually just disrupting their ecosystem. They're out there trying to photosynthesize, and you're just constantly hitting them and making them move.
Exactly.
They're trying to regroup and reform into their colonies. And meanwhile, if they're stagnant, they're photosynthesizing and multiplying. Now, that's not to say that they're not photosynthesizing them. They're incredibly proficient, small little animals. But like, it's not a nice placid.
Rampant.
Yeah, you're trying to come in and mess up their house.
Exactly. And that's going to be the biggest reason I find where aeration works, like why it works so well, is because you'll see ponds in people's backyards or at different parks where without aeration, if it is staying stagnant, it turns into a science project at the blink of an eye. Whereas if you're utilizing some of these aeration systems and have just that water flowing, that constant movement, you're disrupting that. You're not allowing it just to sit there and gain that sunlight and to just keep growing and growing. So with that constant movement, whether it be from circulating the water at the top with those floating, or pushing air and disrupting it from the bottom and circulating, flipping the pond over that way, that's going to be crucial. That's the crucial way to keep a lot of that growth from occurring.
So this is definitely helpful, and I think what I'm really gaining from you is not all aeration systems are going to be made equal or for the same purpose. So I think this is actually a really good time to kind of put a cap on this and have you tell everyone where they can reach you if they have any further questions, because it might just be tell me what you're trying to build kind of thing right now, right? So why don't you tell everyone where they can reach you?
Yeah, so we definitely recommend reaching out to us as well, because like you mentioned, every situation is going to be different. We're here to help, so bring to us what you're trying to accomplish, and we'll give you our recommendation of what's best. And you can see all those products available on our website, scottaerator.com, AERATOR for Aerator, or our Facebook, Scott Aerator as well. Or you can call our office at any time at 800-WATER-45.
Excellent. And there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about in the future. One thing you talked about was a windmill-powered pump. Go ahead and get your schematics, because you got my interest sparked on the windmill-powered pump. All right, that's really, that sounds pretty cool. And then another thing is, I want to bring you back in the next coming weeks, because just from hearing you talk, I'm kind of identifying like, how many of your customers and my customers are really doing this aeration because it's just a top tier pond maintenance thing, right? Do we really know what it's doing? I mean, I do, just because I get to talk to everybody, but I think it'd be cool just to kind of put that in a bottle and showcase that to our listeners. So I'd like to have you back in the future for both of those topics if you're around.
Yeah, I'd love to. Sounds good.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. So there you guys have it. Not all aeration systems are created equal, but we will bring you guys, the experts, to explain every single question you have. Speaking of questions, if you have one, email me at pondcast@websonline.com. If you have any questions about what aeration system is good for you, just give us a call. Our number's right at the top of our website, which is Webs Online. Until next time, take care and enjoy your pond.